Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Peter Abraham. I'm a second career registered nurse, focused primarily in the areas of palliative care and hospice care. Those are two separate services. I'm also a certified end-of-life doula through the International Doula Life Movement, an avid writer. We have over 470 articles on compassioncrossing.info, and an avid book author as well. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I am so thankful that you're here to spend time with us. In this channel, we talk about issues related to death and dying. After all, we are all going to die. Shouldn't we be prepared about what we're all facing? Sometimes we don't even know when, and sometimes we do if we're hit with a terminal illness, granted, not the exact date and time. In this channel, we'll have videos for my fellow hospice nurses, holistic nurses, end-of-life doulas, and other end-of-life professionals. The topic for today's video is going to be about VSED. V is in Victor, S is in Sam, E is in Edward, D is in David. That stands for voluntarily stopping eating and drinking. Now, before we get to the topic of this video, I want to take a moment to ask, what are you grateful for? I find that if you're working in the field of death and dying, having strong resilience makes a wonderful difference in terms of being in this field and not being pulled down, or having different life events happen and not being pulled down. For me, there are three pillars of resistance. We deal with the third one in this channel in terms of a short take, so to speak. For those that are interested, pillar one for me is faith in Christ Jesus. Pillar two is forgiveness. Pillar three is gratitude, that I believe. Not that none of us can't do all three, but I do know some of my viewers would prefer the least amount of faith, which to me it's faith or religious topics discussed. So I try to honor that to a degree. So in terms of what I am grateful for, I am grateful for several things. One, I am now 50% complete with the creation of the course that I'm developing for next year, dealing with crucial end-of-life discussions based on the book. And oh my word, I went to reach for it and I have it in the other area, but I'm building a 16-week, 48-hour course on crucial end-of-life conversations. So I have 4 modules completed. Each module has 4 sessions, because these are twice a week that we're meeting. Each module has 3 case studies, 1 role play activity, 1 quiz. And so we're halfway there. I'm just so thankful for that. I did also receive my author copy of End of Life Doula Care Planning that I wrote. By the way, if you go to order brand new copies, you will see a slight cover difference. I did not realize this when I designed the cover. And for better or worse, I don't order author copies until it's released to the public. I do have an opportunity to do that beforehand. But since author copies take 10 days, I'd rather get the material out there. And there was nothing materially wrong with this. I just thought, you know what? Let me make End of Life Doula one line, bigger print, care planning underneath. So if you do see it on Amazon, the cover will be slightly different, same imagery. But yes, it is that thick, 563 pages, 21 chapters, I believe 7 appendices, 4 pillars of care planning, physical issues, emotional issues, social issues, and spiritual issues, being holistic as it relates to that. Please know, for those of you, oh, I am Islam, or I am this, or I am that, I do take a circular view in the book to cover from a broad basis, so it's not only Christian from that point of view. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for Mallory. Mallory and I co-moderate a voluntarily stopping eating and drinking, VSED, Facebook group. And we had our first Zoom meeting. That's part of today's topic, without talking about who went and getting into details, because we do follow HIPAA. Even if we don't have signed paperwork, it is always good to honor somebody's privacy. As a plug for anyone who is a member of the International Dual Life Movement, that's where I graduated from. One of the benefits to students, no matter, it doesn't matter whether you took a $150 course or a $850 course, if you bought any course, you get free continuing education classes that are taught 1 to several times a month. And the last Sunday, it's not yet on the event calendar in the movement. That's a social media platform that IDLM uses for privacy. But the last Sunday in September, I will be doing a 1-hour free continuing education class for my fellow classmates on why HIPAA and protecting private information is so important for end-of-life doulas. So I'm looking forward to that. I already have the presentation ready. I still have to do the handouts and the quiz. I don't know yet if Anna will give permission for me to invite people outside the IDLM for a small fee. That's typically $10.95 unless it changes. Don't know. But I'm grateful for all of that. Last item before I go on to the topic of today's video. And it's going to be a combination of getting out of your comfort zone. There is going to be a faith-based perspective. This will be hopefully less than 5 minutes. This is not scripted, so I'm guessing less than 5. But I was at our home group for our church, and you don't have to be a church member to go to the home group. And here there's a pregnancy center in Madison County looking for a nurse part-time. And even though I'm running Compassion Crossing LLC, my RN concierge, my end-of-life doula practice, from a point of view, my perspective, if it goes full-time, it goes full-time. If it's right now, it's full-time effort, but part-time in terms of clients, which is perfectly fine. But they said they had a need for a nurse. So I prayed and I called, and I don't know if I'm going to get a call back because it is a sensitive area. Maybe they need a female only nurse. But I'm putting that out there not to say, look at what I'm doing. I'm putting that out there that if you are wondering, I don't know if God is calling me to do this end of life doula thing. I don't know if God is calling me for this or that. Take a step forward. There are times where you're going to hear God say, wait, and then wait. But if you don't got a command to wait, pray, God, I'm going to take a step forward, and then I'm going to take another step and another step. Now, in this particular venue, I can't take any more steps. Either I get a call back or I don't, because I've already shared I'm okay if they need a female-only nurse. But I just wanted to put that out there. Now, on the topic of voluntarily stopping to eat and drink, not a lot of people know about 2 of the choice areas when it comes to end of life. Typically, what people are hearing in one way, shape, or form is either medical aid in dying is legal in your state or not. And medical aid in dying can be its own controversial subject. I have my own feelings on the matter. I do believe that others should have the right to choose, but that also includes me, including how I vote. And I won't go further than that. I'm also a firm believer that if we are able to offer authentic palliative care, so authentic palliative care is that it's symptom burden driven, meaning that the word, if they have this diagnosis or that diagnosis, is not mentioned because it is symptom burden driven. The words life limiting are not mentioned because it's symptom burden driven. If we have authentic palliative care widely available and accessible in the United States of America and throughout the world, I strongly believe that medical aid in dying would almost be non-existent. That's a topic for another video. I'm just sharing with you my thoughts and feelings. For those of you who've been watching this channel, I enjoy being transparent. That's part of who I am. So on the subject matter of what choice do I have that is legal in all 50 states, there are two choices that are legal in all 50 states. There's voluntarily stopping eating and drinking, VSED. It's exactly what it reads and sounds like. You make a decision to stop eating and to stop drinking. You fast. And you do get to a point in this process where your brain does shut off the drive to eat and drink. So it is not the equivalent of starving yourself to death. From a point of view, it starts out that way from a point of view. But towards the end, the brain shuts off the drive and you're no longer starving. The natural processes take over. Now, I did take some notes that were non-privacy invading. We had our first Zoom call. Thank you, Mallory, so much. Mallory is the co-moderator of a Facebook group with me dealing with VSED. And some points that were brought up. You know, why do people do this in the first place? Well, some have dementia, or they're concerned that they may get diagnosed with dementia. And they make a statement, I don't want to live that way. I still remember my one family in Pennsylvania where everything went wrong that can go wrong as it relates to the orders getting there. And I show up and the loved one who was dying with dementia, they weren't dying from dementia, but they had dementia, but they were dying. And the comfort meds weren't there. And I am so thankful that God validation therapy worked. If you've watched my previous videos, I went over that story. That validation therapy, I don't want to put all the power to the validation therapy because I was praying like nonstop through the entire time I was there because I had no medications. But the brother shared that his sister, she didn't want to live that way. She didn't want to live that way. So I'm going to be putting several links in the description below. I'm going to be putting in, there's dementia directives. There's Washington has directives that if you get them notarized and witnessed, and very clearly, I want to make very clear, if a document says you only need witnesses, do the witnesses and get it notarized. If the document says you only need a notary, get it witnessed and notarized. You want to do both. I'm going to bring up an example here. This is the Kentucky Advanced Directives. So in the back, I crossed it out. They have an or, witnessed or notarized. You want both. You want the witnesses and you want the notary. That turns it into a legal document. And you want to use blue ink. Pam Carter, I love you if you're watching this. She's the instructor at the International Dual Life Movement, one of the instructors who teaches the advanced life planning class. So people who have who are fear that they're going to get dementia, or they may have early stages, if they fill out the appropriate paperwork and they make their wishes known, they can go through this. Or there was a person on who they have a disease processes that's rather rare. I don't want to name the process because again, it's rare, and I don't want to give breadcrumbs that can lead back to this person in terms of respecting their privacy. So there's that. Um, I don't want to be a burden to my family. One of the things that was discussed today, it was heartbreaking that we live in a society where people fear medical debt and losing everything through and I know some of you may be on the march, this is why we need free health care. And I'm not marching against you, but we actually need to fix from the floor up. If you only fix the payment system without fixing everything else, we have a bigger mess. It'll only turn into a bigger disaster. I've worked in healthcare. I am with you, not against you. Trust me when I say we need a holistic. We need to fix everything, and it has to start on the ground floor first. The ground floor first. You don't fix, if your house is falling down and you don't have a firm foundation, you don't fix the roof that could fall on top of you before you fix all the beams that would support the roof and the floor that would support the beams. So in terms of VSED, um, some of this stuff, why people do this, they're afraid that they're going to be a financial burden. The cost of long-term care is very prohibitive. They talk about, the 5-year look back and spending down. And if you look at personal care and assisted living, most places are anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 a month. And I've been in Pennsylvania. I can't speak to Kentucky yet. I've had families that are spending 30,000 a year on assisted living. And then the assisted living place is telling them that they have to hire third-party caregivers to come in and provide additional care. It is a landmine. It is a battlefield out there. It's hard. And I'm not telling you to go down this road. But this is part of the reason why people might choose VSED and make this decision. And so this is part of the thought process. Now, some of just so you know, in terms of resources, I'm going to be putting links in the description below. I do have a book on the subject matter, Dignity in Dying, A Thoughtful Approach to Voluntarily Stopping Eating and Drinking. And I will also post a free article on my website. The book does go into greater detail than the article that's on the website. And it is legal in all 50 states. I do strongly, strongly encourage you that I'm going to be putting links in the description below. You want a thorough living will. If possible, get this done by an end-of-life doula that is trained in doing living wills. I can help you remotely on this. Pam Carter and anyone who went through IDLM for her course can help you with this. And if they have training from other schools and you feel comfortable going with them, go with them. It doesn't have to be me or another student of IDLM, but if they have the appropriate training, you do not need an attorney for this. I'm not giving legal or financial advice. I'm just sharing the overwhelming majority of cases. On Monday, September 1st, there's going to be an article on compassioncrossing.info that goes over the few times where a lawyer might be necessary, but the overwhelming majority of the time, either you could do it on your own or one of us could help you. Now, yes, you're paying us versus paying a lawyer. It's free if you do it yourself. The catch is that are you going to miss something? And that's where we come in. That's where we could direct you as to, did you think about this and did you think about that? And if you're good at that, like I do have this as well, Beyond the Living Will, that goes over a lot of that. This references, by the way, the 5 wishes and more. Just a disclaimer, more and more states are looking for their state documents versus the 5 wishes document. I did mention too that there's a second way that's legal in all 50 states. I wish with this way, I pray that I would not have to give fine print, but I do. Palliative sedation. I do have a book on palliative sedation, and I will be putting a link to a free article below if you don't want to buy the book. The book I try to price. This is part of my Caregiver series. That I try to price as low as I can within reason of what Amazon print and their portions are for them. But palliative sedation is the equivalent of putting you into a medical coma on purpose. It is not euthanizing. Fine print is basically 2 things. One, because you are being put in the equivalent of a medical coma, you will not be able to eat and drink, and therefore death will come faster. If done correctly, they're monitoring, this is typically hospice, to ensure that you don't come out. Unlike, if you're intubated, they'll do a level of sedation, and every so often they'll, wean you out to see if they could extubate you. This is not the same thing. It's a medical coma until you die outside of unforeseen circumstances. But I said there are two pieces of fine print. Fine print number one is while it is not euthanizing, you will pass away faster because you will not be eating and drinking. Fine print number two is while there are three reasons that palliative sedation is applied: unmanaged pain, unmanaged respiratory distress, and granted, you could argue just two issues: symptom burden being physical symptom burden, pain, nausea, vomiting, respiratory. We can't get it, we cannot manage it. When I had my congestive heart failure, when I listened, I shared this in a different video, when I'm listening to the lungs, and I could tell, at least from the outside, not that I have x-ray vision, but I could tell his lungs were getting filled up with fluid. We're in a home setting. I can't get the fluid off his lung. And what do you want to do? He wanted to die at home. So I called the doctor, and I appreciate the doctor in question, but he was also an extremely conservative doctor. So when I use the word conservative and liberal when it comes to the medical sense, so if somebody's fiscally conservative, they're trying to save money. They're not trying to overspend. They're trying to make wise financial decisions. So from some perspectives, conservative sounds good, right? Because you're not getting scammed out of your money. You're having more money to do with what you want later and so on, presuming you live for later. But when it comes to the medical sense, when I talk comfort, I want liberal. I want liberal for comfort. I like Dr. Eric Barr. I'll name him because he's like, do whatever it takes for the person's comfort. That's liberal. The conservative approach, and this was the other doctor, and I don't want to name him because I'm not trying to shame him, but he would literally tell us, the nurses, you think I'm Dr. Kevorkian? You trying to kill the person? And inside my head, I'm exploding because we're talking about, you know, the maximum toxic dose for liquid morphine is 1,600 milligrams. There are a 30 ml bottle has 600 milligrams. You would have to digest in whole bottles. We're not talking any of that if we're talking half a syringe to a syringe every, like I still remember the case with Dr. Barr where I did palliative sedation. I've had several cases where I've done it. And I'll get to the fine print in a moment, so please bear with me. But it's like 20 milligrams of morphine every 10 to 15 minutes. That's liberal. This other doctor was the conservative approach. Give 10 minutes, wait a half hour, call me back. Okay, give another 10, wait another half hour, call me back. For any of my viewers watching that half hour to somebody who is suffering, number one, it feels like forever to them. But number two, if you who are trying to help them have any sense of empathy, you are hurting like Hades too. And it seems like forever. You're not in their shoes. I wasn't in that person's shoes. My lungs weren't filling up. Make no mistake, I'm not trying to say I was going exactly through what they were going through. But this is like, are you kidding? Like, oh my word. So when it comes to comfort, liberal is good. Conservative, maybe. Maybe. I don't want to say never because there might be a case and I don't want to rule that out. But getting with palliative sedation, a lot of providers in the hospice field are okay with palliative sedation if it relates to symptom management on the physical side. Pain, nausea, vomiting, respiratory, the physical side. Legally, technically, there's the emotional distress is a qualifying factor. So if somebody is in emotional distress, is the equivalent of out of control pain. For any of you watching, if you're watching and if you're in an end of life caregiver, please, this is so critically important. If somebody is having 10 out of 10 emotional distress, please, for the love of God, treat them as if they're in 10 out of 10 pain. Don't write it off. Don't say this is part of the game, this is part of the journey. It is not, it is manageable. It is manageable, and we need to advocate for those who are providing care. It is not acceptable if they're 10 out of 10 for emotional distress. And they may not be able to put a number to it. You may be able to, mild, moderate, severe. Explore open-ended questions, validate their feelings, and advocate for them. And I'll be as bold, lose your job over it, and I have. And if you don't, that's you. And I'm not going to judge you. This is a non-judgmental channel. I'm just trying to encourage you that this matters and this is important. Beginning with palliative sedation again, even though the main topic is VSED, and I'll get back to VSED in a moment. But there are hospice providers out there who will not do palliative sedation if it's emotional distress. And you and your team need to try to advocate to overturn that to get them to do the right thing. Now, getting back to the SED, and we're going to get the landing gear on for this. I cannot talk enough. There was Dawn was another end-of-life doula. We had Victoria, another end-of-life doula. We had Trina was another. We had several end-of-life doulas on this call, and we had several people who were interested in VSED and sharing their story, seeking support. So I thank everyone who attended. But Mallory was saying, are there any conversations you want to have before you start VSED? And I wrote down any bucket lists. What bucket list would you like to do? Don brought up an excellent point. Before doing VSED, consider a bowel cleanse. You could do the from the, like, if you get a colonoscopy. And again, this is not medical, legal, financial advice. This is educational only. But maybe do a bowel cleanse to prepare your body. And then Mallory mentioned about just with the oral mouth swabs and ice water and just swab in. You're not like trying to swallow in. This is a personal journey. If you need a drink, you're not cheating. When you start, it's gray. That's part of my input. Like here, one of the persons, I don't know if this is normal. There literally is no normal on this journey. Your normal is your normal, and your normal is okay. This is very gray. It's not black and white. It's not easy. It is hard. The journey is hard. How long will this take? I do go over that in my book, what the averages are. And the averages, by the way, in this book are based on people who have a terminal illness. Now, you do not have to have a terminal illness to do VSED. It does help because your body's already weaker. So the average, if you don't have it, if you have a terminal illness, the average from start to end is 7 to 21 days. It's more common to be in that 7 to 14 day window than to 21. But there have been healthy people who have done this. They just made a decision, as hard as it is. And I ask you, please don't be judgmental. If you are against this and you're a follower of Christ Jesus, what I ask you to do is pray. And I'm not saying pray to have your mind changed. I'm saying pray for everyone who is facing this decision. Pray that something happens, because our God, and I'm saying this to my fellow follower of Jesus, our God is the God of the impossible. Nothing is beyond him. He can heal the unhealable, cure the uncurable, and make a way where there seems to be no way. So if you're against this, pray. And that goes the same, by the way, for medical aid in dying or anything else that you're against. We are called to pray, not necessarily to fight. I would also ask you to walk alongside. That takes courage. And God provides that. The people who are facing this decision, the people who are facing the decision for medical aid in dying, the people who are facing the decision for palliative sedation, the people who are facing the decision on taking their own life because they feel there's no way out. If we are not walking alongside them and giving them space, and I'm not saying space to do the worst, if they are not seen and they are not heard, that's the problem. That's it in a nutshell. Walk alongside, give space, tell them you're there, that they matter, even if it's hard. Even if it's hard. Getting back to the healthy person with VSED, the longest known case, and as I say this, there might be others that are longer. This is the longest case I know of that's documented, and not through scientific means, is 47 days. 47 days. I need that to sink in for my viewers. 47 days. A month is anywhere from 28 to 31 days. So do the math. That's a hard journey. If you're going down this route and you need support, on Facebook, it's literally the VSED, Voluntarily Stop Eating and Drinking group. I do not know if I'm going to put the link in the description below, but you could search for it. I say that because I know there are people that may not use this information appropriately. And granted, I can't stop that, but I just want to share what I will put in the link in the description below. The books that I mentioned and the articles that I mentioned. I thank you for taking the time to watch. Please comment below. This is a non-judgmental channel. I thank you for your time, and bye.